In the depths of his forge, Master Adept Lucas Crom slaved and toiled on creating the perfect killing machine. Formed with an abominable intelligence at its core, a name began to be whispered over the data conduits of Mars, and that name was Kaban. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another Dark Mechanicus video. So guys, if you hadn't guessed by that intro and by the title, I have followed in the footsteps of Lucas Crom himself, and I have actually made my own version of the Kaban machine. Look at this almighty beast right here. Now, a couple of little things about the Kaban machine. First and foremost, obviously it was created by Master Adept Lucas Crom during, I think, the Horus Heresy. It was during that time when the tech priests of Mars were trying to decide whether to stay loyal to the Emperor or join Horus Lupercal on in the Horus Heresy. The weapon itself was an abominable intelligence, or artificial intelligence as we call it. Abominable is what the Adeptus Mechanicus call AI, and it's banned by the Mechanicum because the Iron Men rose up against mankind and basically decided to destroy them, Terminator and Matrix style. So that's why it was banned and forbidden. However, Lucas Crom thought, fuck that, I'm going to make one anyway, and he made this awesome death machine. Now, it was supposed to be as wide as it was tall, which I think I've replicated pretty well here. It was supposed to be highly weaponized, as in it was armed to the fucking teeth with weaponry. It had these big weapon tentacles coming out here with weapons that were known to the Imperium, hence why I've gone for last cannons here, and also weapons that weren't, which is why I've loaded it with some of these Necron weapons here, like this. Obviously got close combat arm here. We've got a little tiny Volkite at the front, which is actually off the new Magus Dominus kit from GW, so you got that there. Now you also might be wondering why it was sprayed white or light grey, guys, and that is because it's not actually mine. This is a commission, and you're probably wondering why it's not on commission time, but I thought it was just too epic not to mention, not to put in its own Dark Mechanicus video, because it is probably one of the darkest of things. This, so this is going to go to the almighty painter that is elstonation, and he's going to basically give it a much better coat of paint than I ever could dream of, and it's going to look amazing. So that's going to be shipped off to him pretty soon, and hopefully we'll see that all painted up. But anyway, the actual construction of this thing itself was a bit of a monster. For the first thing I wanted it to be a comparable height to a Imperial Knight. Now, Imperial Knights are supposed to be about 12 meters tall, and wow, I really can't get this in shot. An Imperial Knight is supposed to be about 12 meters tall, and the Kaban machine is supposed to be about 10. Now, I thought that it was about the right size, but with the actual midriff that I've put in, it's actually just almost at the same height as an Imperial Knight, but it still looks cool, and you could just use it as an Imperial Knight, just make up some extra rules. So it was supposed to be that. It's supposed to have void shields, all kinds of weapons and things, all kinds of cool, crazy, nasty stuff. Let's just move my Imperial Knights away. So, the overall construction of this, it started with the tracked units, and you notice it has tracks rather than legs. I don't know why Lucas Crom decided that. Maybe he just had a few tanks lying around and thought, do you know what, fuck it, I'm going to bash it all together. But yeah, so it started with a tracked unit at the bottom. This is two sets of tracks. It's a set of tracks off a Leman Russ and a set of tracks off a Chimera. Now this Leman Russ was right ball-like because I had to strip it down, and the person that I bought it off actually had about 5 different layers of paint on it, so it took ages to strip down, and then I realised I only needed to strip down the track part really, rather than the actual sides, because these are getting stuck on. I was originally just going to have it as a Leman Russ chassis, but I thought, you know, it looks too much like a Leman Russ, so I decided, I'll put these other tracks aside, make it a bit wider, and I also, rather than use the Leman Russ hull, I used the Chimera hull here instead, just to give it a bit more of a lower profile. Now, when I was just going to have it with the Leman Russ tracks, it looked too top heavy. It looked very tall and not wide enough. It looked like if it turned a corner too fast, it would just topple over. So that's that. The upper torso is that of an Imperial Knight, and the arms as well are magnetised, so they can be removed for storage. The upper torso actually comes away as well. although the paint seems to have glued it there. But trust me, it does come away from here. I'll have to snap that by the time the paint dries. But obviously this arm is magnetic as well, so that's pretty cool. It's got its close combat weapon arm. Get in there. Now, I'm going to have to go in manually here, guys. If I just put the camera there, you have to notice I've actually had to make its own fixtures for the arms because we're trying to use defiler arms with that of an Imperial Knight body. So I'd use a bunch of defiler components and things. The back portion of it here, this is actually a Mantic Marauder, I think it's a mortar track or something like that, or a gun track, I can't remember what it's called, but that's actually pretty much a whole model down there, and then the gun for it was actually used on one of the main weapon arms, which is here. In fact, I'll pull this off so you guys can get a better look at it. So it's literally extremely highly weaponized, armed to the teeth, you might say. As I said before, it's supposed to have like sensors everywhere and stuff like this, and in a lot of depictions of it, in a lot of artwork, it's seen to have 3 kind of heads. So that's what I've kind of tried to do in here. So if I just move that up, as you can see there, we've gone for like the Necron kind of sensor array going on, with like some thick piping going in there. Then there's more sensors and lenses and stuff here. And there's actually sensors all over it. There's sensors actually down here in the tracks to monitor things. There's like sensors up here as well. Now this little array up here is probably worth mentioning because I decided, because the holes in the Imperial Knight, I wasn't using the exhausts. So what I was actually going to do, I was actually going to have like big antennas, but I thought these would be perfect to put its void shield projectors. So I decided to add the void shield projectors up here, which is a combination of some Dead Zone terrain pieces and some Mechanicus bits from the new 40k release. And it just looked absolutely amazing, guys. We've even got a little Volkite down there. I can't remember if I mentioned that before, but oh well. This is quite a beast to talk about, I must admit, but it is absolutely fantastic. And I think that I've stayed true to the actual artwork. The artwork that I based this off was some artwork, I think it was like a GW card, or you know when like 40k used cards and stuff. Back in the day, there's actually an official picture of this guy, and I think I've tried to stay quite true to it in regards to like the shoulder pads here, the 3 heads, all the weapon tentacles and things, and just the general overall feel of it. In fact, I want to have another closer look for you guys at this little bit down here, because this was another bit that I struggled with, because it was an incomplete knight. This section here, if I can just turn it upside down, was a real nightmare, because this was just a gap. So I had to like stick a bit of a sentinel in there just to add a little bit of, you know, filler for it. And then I used lots of Mechanites and stuff coming down, because I imagine that this thing would be absolutely seething with Mechanites, you know, going over auto repairing and things. Now, like I said, there's no actual rules for this. Ah, fuck, I just broke it! No! Kaban machine's got a man down. It's okay, it's only snapped off. I can fix that with a bit of super glue. In fact, I'll fix that whilst I talk. So, what were we thinking in regards to rules for this beast? We thought to ourselves, well, it can't be used just as an Imperial Knight, because it just looks far, far more vicious. So we decided what we would do is we would go and we would use it as an Imperial Knight, but we would modify its stat line a little bit. So we're going to use basically, obviously, all the same armour as an Imperial Knight. Rather than its iron shield, because we're going to make this thing really, really tough, we were talking about. So there we go, that's fixed now, guys. So what we're going to do is we're going to give it an actual void shield. Maybe give it 1 more hull point to represent the fact that it's got a tracked unit. And we're going to give it all kinds of crazy weaponry. We're even going to try and invent some weapons for it. We probably won't give it a strength D close combat weapon, because this thing was primarily designed to be very, very shooting. I'm trying to think anything else I can talk about this. Ah, yeah, some of the other trials and tribulations I had. These weapon tentacles here, these are, as I think I've mentioned this, just if not, I'm very sorry, and my mind's a bit all over the place at the moment, but these were from the weapon mounts of a Warhound Titan. So I basically bent these with hot water and bent them into shape, because they're quite thick and quite solid. But then came the issue of actually having to try and fix them into the main torso of it. So if I just zoom in to this little bit here, you will see that it actually goes inside the torso of the knight. So what I had to do, I had to leave the top of it off here, and then I drilled a hole in shoved it through. It's very, very tight fitting, which is what I wanted, and then secured it with a massive blob of green stuff on the other side, so hopefully it won't shift. It's also glued to the shoulder pad here to give it a bit more structure, and this one here, this one is actually glued up here as well, just again to give it a bit more solidity. Other little things that I actually had a bit of an issue with was the midriff section here, because it was just a bit too weedy, so I've bulked this out and tried to disguise it as best I can with Mechanics, little power couplings, power packs and various other bits and bobs as well. But anyway guys, this has been it. This has been a truly epic model to build, and I'm so excited when Elston actually gets this and paints it up. I cannot wait. I do believe this is going to have to be hand delivered though, rather than sending it off to him as I stated earlier, because it's just too fragile. Like the little aerials and stuff here, they would just get destroyed in the post, and the same as the Mechanics as well. I really don't want to risk these getting snapped because they're just such a cool little bit, and they make the aesthetic of the model look really, really great. So guys, please let me know what you think of this. If you have any questions about it, put them in the comment section, the doobly-doo down below. Ask me on Facebook. I'm going to put a bunch of these pictures on the Tumblr account as well, a load of more in-depth pictures and stuff like that. There's also on the Facebook, there's some wedding production photos as well as this in its early stages, so you can get an idea of how it's kind of grown over time. But anyway guys, as I said, give it a like and please share the shit out of this video, because this is something that you don't actually see too many of. I have only really seen, I think, 3 other, if you type in Kaban machine into Google Images, I think there's only 3 proper ones of this that are few people that have tried to make their own version of it. So this will be the 4th one probably ever in existence, or ever on Google Images for that matter. So anyway guys, please like and subscribe, give it a shout out, give it a share, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much for watching guys, it's been a blast, and I'll see you guys again. See you now, and goodbye.